Okay, we'll start reading some of this. Now this is a story that runs parallel with Earth and the human conscious awakening. Here we go. This story of Jesus was originally an allegory for the sun passing through the zodiac during the year, causing the seasons to change. Since there doesn't seem to be a good book already describing this allegory, and apparently hardly anyone is aware of it, though it becomes obvious once it's pointed out. Interesting that apparently in early Christianity the story sometimes had it that Jesus was born in a cave, and at the end of the story he dies in a cave. Well, I've shown in previous videos where the sun is. The sun is in here in this vacuum, considered as a cave. The vacuum in here, inside the Arctic Circle, cave. There you have it. They know all this stuff. It's fact. This is what our Earth looks like. Dies in the cave to be resurrected 3 days later. So the story is circular, like the year. So 3 days later, so that's like the equinox, when it's 22nd of December, and then 3 days later he rises again on the 25th of December, or up that end, whatever it is, June 21st, whatever. But I think it's more about this story down here, the southern summer. So that's the earthly constellation story, the 3 days, but the 3 days means 30 minutes. In the 30 minutes in the man's awakening. So you've got the man story and the constellation, the earth story. Okay, there we go. Our English translations of the Bible are far from literal word-for-word translations. As I go back to the original Greek and Hebrew, I find large, long words that aren't even translated. I started translating Matthew 2.1, and there's this long word with no equivalent English. Not even a Strong's number for me to look up. Other words like Bethlehem are just English spelling of what the Hebrew word sounds like, Bethlehem, without telling you what the word means. The word is essentially left untranslated. But Bethlehem, Elohim, it's a God, house of God. Beth is house of God. And when you go down and check out the meaning in North mythology or history, meaning of the word husband is master of house. Another terminology is husband's one's energy. So husband's one's energy. And then you think of the Great Pyramid. What does Pharaoh mean? Great house. So I'm saying they used to use the Great Pyramid to go there and ascend spiritually. The word came to be metonymically for the Egyptian king under the new kingdom. It's interesting. House of God. My most recent findings, Pilate of Pontius Pilate means armed with a spear, which is obviously Sagittarius. At least when you become familiar with the signs of the zodiac, these things just jump out at you being obvious. Sagittarius is what the sun passes towards after going through Scorpio, who is Judas, the betrayer. The word Judas means disabled in the limbs, maimed, crippled. What the scorpion of Scorpio does to the sun as the sun disappears during autumn as the days get longer. Now, you've heard of the story about Judas, the betrayer, and you've heard about in the passages about a crippled person. Well, here, Judas the betrayer, disabled in limbs. What we're doing here, this is how it works. This here, see this? See, at the equinox, the vortex, this rotation of fluid, whatever you want to call it, it's a vortex. So just imagine vortex water with a hollow core down the centre, which is the vacuum. Science likes to call it vacuum. Where the electrons, the moon and planets all go around the sun. Well, it's turning, right? And it's on an elliptic. When the water spins, it's on an elliptic like this. Well, that elliptic, because that's turning, this elliptic turns like this. It just goes around and can actually change a little bit and start going up the other way. So this is the seasons. So this is the equinox. This is perihelion, Leon, aphelion up there. So equinox, it's come level for a few days before it starts going like that again, changing the season. So you can imagine this elliptic in here, ellipse, is an elongated shape. Elongated, there it is there, centre Earth, the centre of the vacuum, and the sun is off to the side, elongated. It's like a body, a baby. But as this is like this, but as it levels out for the equinox, what's going to happen to that ellipse, elongated shape? It's going to level out and become a nice circle. What happens if you level that out? Becomes a nice circle. You've just removed his legs. You've cut it off. You've never heard that before. That's what it's about. And it's also in there about when Jesus got crucified on the cross. He's level. It's all about the equinox, spring. There he is, hanging on the cross. And who's on either side of him on the cross? The two thieves. Who are the two thieves? Perihelion, and aphelion. Once he comes out of the equinox, the spring, he gets crucified. He's no longer there anymore. Off goes the story is that the sun goes down into hell. So he's here, there it goes. He's been crucified. The sun's no longer, it's going down that way, which is the opposite to the summer, their summer in the story. That's what it is. The two thieves represent aphelion, perihelion. Now, this is the story. This is my model. I've shown all this. Happens during the year. This is how the seasons change during the year. You think you live on a spinning ball and the ball tilts. And then they bring in the aphelion, and Arab aphelion. Not annually, do they? It's different, but it does. It's annually. That's what changes the season. There's the allegory there, the truth, the story. He's lost his legs. They know. They know it all. And the two thieves that take the season. Right, stand up and walk. And also the betrayer, Judas, is also, when this happens at 3:03 in the morning, the man is to stand up and walk. In the Bible it's woe to the man who stands up, because he has to stand up to let the Christ, the fluid, run from his brain through his system for 30 minutes to get the awakening. If he does not get out of bed, it does not happen. So he has betrayed the Christ. It never worked. Moving on. In construction of the final step, that of exposing the allegory, it is necessary to go through the Gospels and perform a literal translation from the original Greek by identifying Strong's numbers. Fortunately, the original Greek with strong numbers is readily available from numerous sources. It is my contention that a literal word-for-word translation of the Bible exposes the allegory, especially a literal translation of places, which in all of our English Bible translations I have ever seen remain untranslated. For example, Bethlehem is literally a house of bread. Without knowing, this one may be attempted. One may be tempted to take out a map and search for the town called Bethlehem. However, that's common people do, right? However, and they believe all this Israel stuff, one should actually be looking for a place known as the house of bread. This may seem trivial at first, but it is actually is a great first step towards exposing the allegory. For you see, there has always been a place known as the house of bread, except it is not a place on earth. It's a time of the year. House of bread in August, which is harvest time. It's a great time of year. Ancient civilizations all look forward to with great anticipation. The term house refers to one of the 12 houses of the zodiac, which is like a big calendar in the stars. You can tell what time of year it is by observing the stars as they come out just after sunset and then determining where the sun is in relation to the stars. You determine which constellation or house the sun is in. It's like determining which page of the wall calendar you are turned to. It tells you what month of year you are in. When the sun is in the house of bread, it's August. It's harvest time. In the house of bread is the constellation Virgo, the Virgin. Hence, in Bethlehem, the house of bread, you will find a virgin, the constellation Virgo. Virgo is always depicted as holding either a sheaf of wheat or an ear of corn. She represents harvest time as the sun moves through the zodiac on its yearly journey. It eventually passes out of the house of bread and moves on to the next house. The sun moves out of the constellation Virgo, the eternal virgin, figuratively gives birth to the sun as the sun passes out of Virgo, the virgin. But really it's Jupiter coming between the legs giving birth, but the sun is up in her chest, which is this thing going on. And then she's going to give birth. She's pregnant. She's got the sun about here. Remember, she's overlaying the Milky Way. That's where the sun sits. The sun tucks into the Milky Way. Doesn't sit inside, right inside, it tucks into it like a nest. That's on one side, and that turns. So during the day it's facing there. At night it's coming out faintly, which you see in the Milky Way. Faintly coming out is Sigma Octantis. Faintly going up is Polaris. Won't get science telling you that, will you? No. They live on a spinning ball. Right, Jesus allegorically represents the sun. Remember, Jesus says, I am the light of the world. Well, the light of the world is the sun. Jesus came to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. The acceptable year. So that's the special year. And 2,000 years ago. The year of the Lord at spring. His story is the story of the year, of the seasons, of the sun passing through the zodiac. The whole story of Jesus is just an allegory of the sun passing through the houses of the zodiac during the year. But it's that special year for all this to happen. The last time that happened, 3:03 in the morning. God knows when. Must have been 2,000 years ago. Well, it was, because a Jewish man's written all about it. First BC or somewhere way back there. That was Jesus ministering last 1 year. There's a lot of details I'm skipping over here. I haven't explained how Jesus is born on December 25th, when Bethlehem is in the month of August. Actually, if you read the Bible, it says King Herod made a careful search of Bethlehem, the house of bread, where the sun is in August, and didn't find him there. That's because it was the full solar eclipse was in August. He couldn't see the sun, it was the full solar eclipse. That's what he's saying here. And that's between this divine period, which has happened again then, the between Leo and Virgo. The Sphinx is looking exactly in that direction. After 2,000 years, all the dates are the same. The Gregorian calendar, it's bang on. I'll leave it at that and then do another video because it's going to cut out soon. So I'll come back and do another video. There'll be probably 2 other parts to it. I'll catch you later.